Listen, without further ado, would you put your hands together as Justin says the class.
Can y'all hear me? Okay. I might just think about it. I don't know how I'm going to do this with sitting down. I'm usually pretty active when I do this. Let's open up. I know I've opened already with prayer. Let's open up again. Lord, thank you for our battle, our struggle. Let us come together and tell our story, our testimony. Like my church says, we have to go through a test to tell our testimony. We all have our own testimony. Lord, just allow us to open our hearts and open our souls to these people in front of us. And maybe, just maybe, we can reach. If it's just one person, if it's one person on the internet who's watching on Facebook or whatever later on, that it reaches and touches them, just it helps them out just a little bit. Allow them to come to find Jesus through our testimony. Lord, thank you. We come to you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. So this is a little different. We're sitting down, relaxed. This isn't a typical service. I'm not going to yell at you, tell you about end of days and all that. This is just our story. And the devil's kind of been working on us the past, since we told Mark we were going to do this. We haven't really had a chance to sit down and talk hey, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? And it came down to yesterday, and I was like, we've been so busy. I'm helping out with the track team now, and church, and her trying to get a new job she's going for, and the kids, and just life. It's just been one after another. And last night I was upset. Because I told the twins, I was like, let's go, you all after practice and stuff, let's go to the district basketball game. And I was like, I said, I can't take the girls to basketball game. We haven't come right now. And she was like, it's like BJ took the other day and said, it's our school. So we can tell. I was like, so then I wrote at least an outline that Stephanie Candy, she looked at it and was like, what? Yeah. If anybody knows me, I'm so, my thought process, I'm so ADHD. And there's arrows and there's circles. It's really, but I'm very open to prayer. So I was like, how am I going to start this? And I just started. I listen to books all the time in the state car. All the time. I drive everywhere all over the state. I was listening to a book called The Good Marriage, A Good Marriage by Stephen King. Okay, everybody's like, where's this going? But it starts out, it's kind of like the first few lines are kind of awesome. When you come up to somebody that you know you haven't seen for a while. I mean, even me and Ashley just a minute ago, hey, or first time he came, he was like, hey, how's the family? How are you doing? How's the wife? How's the kids? How's that old ball and chain doing? How's your mom and dad? Like I said, it's never, ever, how's your marriage? How's your marriage? Nobody ever asks that. I was like, and what would my answer be? Or in times in the past, how much time you got? And then that's how it is. And, I can sit back, oh, mom, dad's good, mom, dad has a little thing, whatever, and you're gone, and you're broken. But if somebody was asking you, how's your marriage? How much time you got? So, I got turned. Baby. We're going to be in 2 Chronicles 20. You don't have to have a Bible. I'll read it for you. And it's kind of and I move my marker. And I'm going to read now the living. And everybody knows how good I am at finding scripture. 708. Usually ask the kids, the New Testament, just buy me some time. Oh, I had a book. I had my book. I'm sorry, y'all. I was prepared a little bit, not a little. Okay. Later on, the armies of the kings of Moab, Amnon and the Mennonite, 20. Chronicles 2. The Ammonites and the Midianites declared war on Jehoshaphat. And I'll stop right there for a second. The story of Jehoshaphat, not a lot of people know about the story, so I'm going to kind of preface for time's sake. And the people of Judah. So you got three armies that are coming against Judah and Jehoshaphat. Word reached Jehoshaphat that a vast army is marching against you from beyond the Dead Sea, from Syria. It is already at Hazazon Tamar, I'm sorry about my pronunciations, also called Engedid. Jehoshaphat was badly shaken by this news and determined to beg for help from the Lord. So he announced that all the people of Judah should go without food for a time in penance and intercession before God. Now he's asking everyone in his whole nation to fast and pray. People from all across the nation came to Jerusalem to plead unifiedly with him. Jehoshaphat stood among them, and this is the king also, standing amongst his people, and gathered in the court of the temple and prayed this prayer. O Lord God of our fathers, the only God in all the heavens, the ruler of all the kingdoms of the earth, you are so powerful and mighty, who can stand against you? O our God, didn't you drive out the heathen who lived in this land when your people arrived? And didn't you give this land forever to your descendants of your friend Abraham? Your people settled here and built this temple for you, truly believing that in a time like this, whenever we are faced with calamity, such as war, disease, and famine, we can stand before this temple and before you, for you are here in this temple, and cry out to you to save us, and that you will hear us and rescue us. And now see that the armies of Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir are doing. You wouldn't let your ancestors invade these nations when Israel left Egypt. So we went around and didn't destroy them. Now see how they reward us, for they have come to throw us out of our land which you have given us. O Lord, won't you stop them? We have no way to protect ourselves against this mighty army. We don't know what to do, but we are looking to you. As the people from every part of Judah stood before the Lord with their little ones, wives, children, the Spirit of the Lord came upon them. The Lord came upon one of the men standing there, Jehaziel, son of Zechariah, son of and Levi, who was one of the sons of Asaph. It just goes on and on. It gets history right there. Listen to me, all of you people of Judah and Jerusalem, and you, O King Jehoshaphat, he exclaimed. The Lord says, don't be afraid. Don't be paralyzed by this mighty army, for the battle is not yours, but God's. So he's telling them, he sent the Spirit to this guy and says, hey, look, don't worry about this fight. I got you. I got you. Tomorrow I'll go down and attack them. You will find them coming up the slopes of Ziz, at the end of the valley that opens to the wilderness of Jeruel, but you will not need to fight. Take your places, stand quietly, and see the incredible rescue operation God will perform for you. O people of Judah and Jerusalem, do not be afraid or discouraged. Go out there tomorrow, for the Lord is with you. Then King Jehoshaphat fell on the ground with his face in the dirt, and all the people of Judah and the people of Jerusalem did the same, worshiping the Lord. Then the Levites and the Kohath clan and the Korah clan stood in praise of the Lord of Israel with songs of praise that rang out strong and clear. Early the next morning, now we're in the day of the battle. Early the next morning, the army of Judah went out into the wilderness of Tekoa. On the way, Jehoshaphat stopped and called them to attention. Listen to me, O people of Judah and Jerusalem. Believe in the Lord your God, and you shall have success. Believe his prophets, and everything will be all right. After consultation with the leaders of the people, he determined that there should be a choir leading the march, clothed in sanctified garments and singing the song. His loving kindness is forever. as they walked along praising and thanking the Lord. Now, he's sending his praise team out first. And I mean, most every church, where do we start? We start with praise. So first the team comes out, we sing, we praise, to get the Lord's attention. So that's kind of what they were doing right here. So I will. And at that moment they began to sing and praise. The Lord caused the armies of Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir to begin fighting amongst themselves. And they destroyed each other. For the Ammonites and the Moabites turned amongst their allies from Mount Seir and killed every one of them. And when they had finished that job, they turned against each other. So when the army of Judah had arrived at the watchtower and that looks out into the wilderness, as far as they could look, there were dead bodies lying on the ground. Not a single one of their enemies had escaped. King Jehoshaphat and his people went out to plunder the bodies and came away with loads of money, garments, and jewels stripped from their corpses. So much that it took them 3 days to cart it all away. On the fourth day, they gathered in the Valley of Blessings, and that's what it's called today, and how they praised the Lord. So not only did they fall on their face and sing to God and give the battle to Him, after their enemies defeated themselves, they came away 3 times richer than they ever would have. I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, so our battle that we've given up, and I'll get into that here in a little bit too, is how we're going to fight our battles, how we fought through this battle. So,
Or lack thereof fighting.
or lack thereof, or fighting fair. Does anybody know how to fight fair? I didn't see a single hand up go up. For everybody that didn't know us, this little cute girl, I seen riding a bike down my street one day. I was probably about 10 years old or so. This woman had moved in two houses down, and I was like, she's got a little daughter. I was like, okay. And then I found out that it's her niece, and there's this other little blonde girl. I was like, there's 2 girls out there riding. They just happen to be Stephanie and Tanya. And their aunt came to me and says, oh my gosh, one of them's got a little crush on you. She looked at me, which one? I was like, I don't like Tanya. I kind of had a crush. I had a crush on Stephanie, and I was like, I'm kind of got on my nerves. Still does. But in a loving way. So we met 10 years. When we were 10 years old, and we had crushes on each other. We didn't know about it. So, time passed, and Lori, time passed. I said, we can get to come for a little while. I'll go through it. And we'll get to that other, when we met up again a little bit later. In my life, I dealt with some things when I was younger. And with this demon, or evil spirit, whatever you want to call it, is lust. Lust for the female figure. That's what I dealt with. And from an early age, I sought it out. And like I didn't know until like I really got back into church what it was. Like, cause I knew. I mean, could we chalk it up to the little boys being boys, or being boys being curious about things and hormones and stuff like that? But I think this week it went way beyond that. Like I sought out certain. Well, I sought out pornography, and I mean I'm young. I'm probably not a little maybe, but I would try to find it anywhere I could, like magazine covers, or and I was curious about the female form. Could we chalk it up to that? Get there in a minute. But even under lock and key in my parents' house, I would find the key. It had hold me so tightly at a young age. I went to find the key where the stuff, magazines, and stuff were locked up, I would find that. Or the video cassettes, I would find it. My grandfather's house had stacks of porno magazines, right up to my chest when I was that age, in his closet, and I knew where they were. And even when I went to the Good Shepherd, I was raised Catholic. No excuse. Anyway, and I stayed after school. I mean, fairly young, and I went to Paul Sawyer Library. That's where my dad picked me up, to where there were so many magazines and National Geographic. But I would search that out. I would find other books about that would have just the female body and stuff. And I was so entranced and lustful. I mean, it just had a grip on me. And then the high school. I kind of pursued girls in high school who were easy. No, I'm not going to sugarcoat. I mean, I kind of sought that out, and I was full of panic sometimes. And there were, Cinemax, HBO, anything, like I'd stay up late at night, I'd try to find anything I could watch, I would watch it. I just would. I mean, it had a grip on my life. Even as a teenager, and I talked to the youth back there about, the female form, and you start to notice things, and you would try to sneak in the girls' locker room, or, oh, that girl's got a loose shirt on today. And she raises her arms, I'm going to try to see something. I mean, that's just how it was, and it came so much on my life that that's all I thought about at times. I played sports, and when guys would talk about that, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that female, oh gosh, she's so, and my wife's heard for that, she's so hot. And she's like, and it progressed into college. I had posters of Jenny McCarthy, Sandra Bullock, that are scantily clad, and whatever they were wearing. And we had, I had a guy down the hallway. His nickname was PK. The nickname Porno King. He had wallpapered up, just whoever's that fancy girl of the month, all on his wall. And I would spend so much time with him, and that was about it. And then it got into accomplishments. Females. What can I accomplish? What can I do? Who can I do? And I had a girlfriend at the time from about junior year through my freshman year of college. And we were away. If we broke up, if we had separation time, I'd find another girl. That's just how it was. And we were on a break. So it wasn't cheating. That's how I justified it. And college was short-lived. 3 semesters. And then I just realized it wasn't for me. College isn't for everybody. Finish school. All my kids are in college now, finish school. Or heading that way. Then we go to after college. 21 years old. I start working in a nightclub. I'm a bouncer. And it turned into, again, accomplishments. What can I do? I would work the front door, and there's a line down the block, and I would walk out. And this is how bad it got for me. I would walk out, I'd tell somebody, I'd cover the door. I'd walk through, and there'd be a bachelorette party. And this happened on several occasions. A bachelorette party, and I'd come to like, oh, and I got the staff shirt on, so they all went to work. Who's the crazy one in your group? There's always a crazy one in a bachelorette party. Always. And, what do they do? Or whoever. I'm like, do you want a story to tell? And that's all it took. And I would go get whatever, and I'd let the whole group in for free. Buy them a drink or whatever. Or I would single the girl out, even if she's with a guy. Like she's cute. I would throw that guy out, just so I could try to get with her. Or the vulnerable ones. I didn't care. I didn't care at that time. I would, and back then, like and I'll talk about how I transitioned through a bunch of different outlets. My outlet was sleeping with these women. And now looking back, I wrote down accomplishments and I put it in quotations, but they were not accomplishments. Not at all. And I don't know if he wants this, probably not. But I want to apologize and say I'm sorry for the way I treated those ladies. And at this one particular point in my life, I was ready to be done with the club scene, working. I had a drug problem. I would snort pills, I would take pills, any kind of pills I could get my hands on, I was taking. It didn't get to the point where I was like, I tried cocaine, I didn't get heroin or anything like that, but I mean, I was doing enough to hurt myself, and I was ready to be done with it. And I don't know what it was. I had several guns pointed at my head while I went there, just because I didn't let somebody in. And it's crazy, but anyway, I was ready to be done, and then this group of girls comes in one night, and I'm like, "Are you Tanya's sister?" And she says, "What's my name?" And I'm like, "Stephanie." And I'm like, "Why are y'all here so early?" It was 9 o'clock on like a Friday night, ladies' night. I was like, and they walked, I was like, "Y'all the first ones here." We just literally unlocked the door. They walked in, they're like, "What? Nobody here." I'm like, "Yeah, we just opened." They were like, "We're going to get something to eat." They went down to the shades, and I was like, they came back. Because it doesn't get hot in the club till like 11:30. I mean, I don't know anymore. 11:30, it's fine. 11. And she came in, and we tell the story that I used to be the bouncer that bounced up on top of the bar and danced with all the girls. And I followed this little hottie blonde around the bar, and I danced with her like all the way around. And she was like, "You didn't dance with any other girl like that." And I was like, "Good one." We're not going to get into the two bras that you wore that night. That you false advertising. Shots fired. Shots fired. Okay. But and then we went on our first day, January 29th, 2001. And we dated for 5 years, which, and that time she has 3 stepdaughters that I love today. I have 3 stepdaughters. She has 3 daughters, had 3 daughters at that time, that I loved. I love them just like they are my own, like I birthed them myself. Yeah. But I love them like no other. I got my first grandbaby now. It's awesome. Awesome. Anyway. And we married 5 years later to the day. We got married 5 years on the anniversary of our first date. So yeah, sweet. Right? I don't know what game we're playing. Where'd they come up with that? We're talking about points. Hey, I heard some good points. What game are we playing? How many points are we going for? It's a question for everybody. But when we started dating, I like these, and they don't really have them anymore. These magazines, Maxim stuff, FHM, swimsuit edition from Sports Illustrated. I used to get them all the time, and they had good reading but not there. I didn't have Playboy, and that was me justifying at that time. It wasn't Playboy, it wasn't Penthouse, it wasn't forums and all that kind of stuff. No, I didn't. And she was like, just one day she was like, I don't look like those girls. I was like, you're high. She's like, I don't have a size 13 waist and big again. A 13 inch. Whatever. A little waist, all that. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, the little bitty waist, and she's like, I don't look like that. And I was like, and she was kind of like, I was like, at first I was like, no. I was like, yes, no. I was like, I read those. And I was like, okay. So they left. Eventually they. But I really didn't buy them. But they sat on the back of the boat for a long time. And then transition to, I found this website called The Child. And it's a man website. It's not pornography, but it's scantily clad women in bathing suits, thongs, the Hump Wednesday, all that kind of stuff. And I got a t-shirt. I got t-shirts with Child on and all this. I got mugs. I got all kinds of stuff. And she's like, what is this? I was like, it's a middle. Well, she gets on there one day. She's like, I don't look like those girls.
First of all, you had to create, you had to be 18 or older, and you had to create a site to get in it. Something's wrong with that. Something's wrong with that. You can't even go, a normal person, like I went on and I'm like, this ain't too bad, and then you see up here in the corner and it said, log in. And I'm like, why would you have to log in? So I created a website. Woo! Talk about a fight that night. Because what he's talking about daily, it was like 20 to 50 pictures daily that they would post, and he was on there every day looking at these. And the biggest problem for me was these girls that he's looking at, and my daughters are that age. Not that he would ever look at them that way, but that's somebody's daughter that he's looking at. Somebody's daughter that he's lusting at. And I don't look like that. I've had 5 kids. I got stretch marks, I got places, I got curves, and these girls ain't got none.
And then I came to the point where I saw where she was kind of hurt by this. So
I started hiding and doing it.
I was getting other stuff first before I was. But it transitioned from that to, straight up porn. Straight up porn. And for anybody that has a cell phone, I'm guessing everybody, you are 3 clicks away. But maybe 2. From pornography. From anything. And I talked to the youth about this. That means they are too. The ones that have cell phones. That scares me to death now. At the time, I didn't care. It's what had grabbed hold. And we weren't struggling. Me and her, we weren't struggling sexually or me hating her or she hated me, jobs were secure. I didn't cheat on her, so I was like, I'm not cheating on her. That was me justifying at that time. I'm not cheating on her. I'm not cheating on her. And back when I run back real quick. When I was in college, I used to watch porn for learning. I wanted to learn how to properly satisfy a woman, because that's how I was learning at the time, which is completely wrong. Completely wrong. Because porn will also numb you. The things those girls do, that me and her sat down after I was done. I left my phone at home.
In the meantime, I was not raised in church, so I didn't really go to church. I knew there was God. I love God, but I didn't. I mean, there was times that we'd watch porn together, a couple times or anything. I was never really comfortable with it, but okay, I'll watch it. Not a big deal. Look at magazines every now and then. Oh, hey, that girl's hot. Well, I went to church. And it just took that one time walking in that church that God got a hold of me. And from that day forward, it was like every time I was there, I got closer and closer to the Lord. And the more I changed and the closer I got to God, the more these things bothered me. It didn't bother me. It bothered me before, but it didn't bother me before, if that makes sense. Like it would bother me if I seen you do it all the time, but if it was every now and then, not a big deal, it's okay. But I kept getting closer and closer and closer to God, and really, we had a lot of fights. The church that I went to, I finally got him to go, but we had a lot of fights. And we had some really good friends that helped us through it, and we talked about lust and how it makes women feel. Because, let's be honest, these girls that he's looking at, that's just not what I look like. And if that is what you're attracted to and that's what you're seeking after, then why are you with me? It doesn't make sense to me. I don't look like that. I will never look like that. Why? And then it was God saying, you're worth more. You're worth more. You're worth more. And I kept telling him, well, I deserve more. The Bible says I deserve more.
I left my phone home.
I was sick.
Yeah.
And I never went through his stuff. I never really felt like, I wasn't the wife that went through his stuff and searched his stuff.
No need to.
I never felt, he never hid it. I knew he did all that stuff. But he didn't hide it from me, so I never felt the need to look. Well, this one day, I'm sick, and I go to the bathroom, and his phone's in there. And I'm using the bathroom, and I take the phone, and I called him, and was like, you left your phone at home. He was like, oh, okay, I'll come out there. I got to do this or this, and then I'll come out there and get it. I said, okay. And then I'm laying there, and I swear, God said, go through his phone. I'm not going through his phone. Go through his phone. And I did. And I just kept hitting the back button on the internet. And then I hit it like one more time, and this porn popped up, and I was like, dropped the phone, like, oh my gosh, livid. And then I'm like, I'm gonna get in trouble. I was on his phone. I can't tell him I was on his phone. And I'm like, no, you know what? I locked it right where it was on the porn. He came home. He goes to give me a kiss, and he went, nope, I'm not kissing you. He was in a hurry. He had to go. He had work. He gets in the car, and he goes to leave. And I got a text a little bit later. He said, I'm not. He opened his phone. When he opened his phone, that's what he seen. And he said, I'm not going to defend it. I'm not going to say anything, but we'll talk about it later.
At that time, I couldn't argue driving. At that time. And it shocked me to, like, all the things that could happen. I'm like, I'm going to lose her over something stupid. Over something that I need to get control of. It's like I wanted to be done with it. And I looked up, different prayers, different books on lust, on porn, and it says, the girls in those videos, you don't know if they're addicted to coke and that's why they're doing it, and you don't know if they're underage, you don't know if there could be a guy in the corner with a gun pointed at their head making them do that and stuff. And I was just like, and then I was like, I told her, I was like, I'm done with this. And she was like, how are you just going to give that up? I was like, I have to. And she said, Yeah, and I was, and it was that day. That day, I can't remember which book it
I
was.
bought him a book that said it was like 101, it was a Christian book, and it was like 100 things that a wife needs from her husband.
And it fell open on how to deal with porn or something. You know. I mean,
He told me he came to work to get his stuff before he left. He's dreading going home because he knew what was going to happen when he got home. And he said that book was laying on his desk, and it was open to the chapter about porn. That book was up on his shelf. He had not looked at it. It was laying open, the chapter about porn.
And then, and when I walked, I heard it fall as it wasn't just like somebody come in there and open it. I heard it fall when I walked into the office. It's crazy. That's God work.
And the funny thing about that story was, that whole time he's gone, I know all you women know, I'm in my head, this is what I'm going to say, and I'm living, I'm going to say this and this. I need to take notes. I'm going to make sure I'm going to say it all.
This is how I'm going to argue, boy.
I probably called Tanya, I done called every woman in the what am I going to say? Yeah, I'm going to say that too. And you know what he did? He came home and he grabbed my hand and he started praying. So what did I do? I said nothing. How do you argue with God? You can't. I was angry, but he didn't come back to me with, I don't care. Yeah, I did it. Get mad. You went through my phone. You don't trust me. Why are you going through my phone? That's happened to me before. It's been turned around. That book got flipped on me. Why did you do that? You did that. Why? Why are you doing it? And then all of a sudden you're defending. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And then I'm like, how did it get flipped around? What? How did that happen? But no, he came and he started praying, and he's like, this is the book that fell. And he read that whole thing to me about lust, and he's like, I need your help. I need you to help me with this. And I'm like, oh, okay. But we didn't fight. I'm like, everything that I said in my head, and now none of that mattered. And I'm like, okay, well, let's figure this out.
Then it transitioned again. And this is how the devil works in mysterious ways, and just this lust works. I can deal with this on my phone. I don't have to look at it. I can put it up, right? If you and lust in the term too, lust is lust after anything. It could be internet, social media, whatever. Just throw that in there. Food, all that kind of stuff. But then it transitioned to everything around me. Women in general. Walking through Walmart, Kroger, the beach, anywhere. And Stephanie, at one point she said, I would rather you cheat on me. That way I can hate that girl. I know that one girl, and I can keep you away from that one girl. I can't keep you away from everything out there. Yoga pants. Volleyball shorts, which are even short. She says, I can't keep you away from that.
This went on, altogether, it was about 7 years. 7 years of me hating myself.
Progressive.
I didn't feel like I looked good enough. I wasn't pretty enough. My body didn't look good enough. Extreme self-hatred towards myself. When he stopped watching porn and he quit looking at all the pictures and all that, we quit having sex. I'm the first person to tell you in a marriage, one of the best things you can do for each other is to be intimate with each other. Because it's the closeness that you two share that it's for the two of you, it's for that married couple.
Married couple.
For me, you can't really fight with, if you're intimate with each other and you're having sex with each other and, I don't know, you get those endorphins, you're happy. But when you're not having sex, you get angry. And we've both been guilty of it, I pulled the Bible verse out. There's a Bible verse that says you do not withhold from your spouse unless it's through prayer and fasting. I've used that.
I've used that.
But anyway, we quit having sex, and then I'm thinking, okay, when I said God told me to go through his phone, I just knew it was God. And then, on hindsight, was it really God? Or was it the enemy? Because let me tell you what happened. He was slowly, he was coming out of all this. He's really trying to be better for me, and he's trying not to do it, but I would catch him, and I'd walk up on him, he's on his phone, he'd hear me coming, and he'd hurry up and put it down and get off of whatever he was on. So it was constant hiding things, and so I'd sign into his Facebook. I go through, let's see what videos he's watching. Let's see what pictures he's liking. Let me get on his Instagram. I go to his Instagram. I'd look at everything he liked. Twitter, you name it. I sign into his stuff and I'm checking everything. I am psycho crazy, and I am making myself crazy. I had severe anxiety. I could go in a room. Justin and I could walk in a room, and I could look at the room, and I'd be like, that girl right there, that's who he'll be looking at. That girl right there, that's who he'll look at. And then I would wait. And I would watch him. And he would look at that girl, and he would look at her again, and he would look at her again. And it would happen all the time, and I'm like, I already know who he's going to look at. So it would be, I'd get mad at him. And then, I think it was so bad that I created those situations. Oh, he's going to look at that girl, and I'd watch him. He would laugh because there were times I would be sitting behind him watching his eyes.
The hall pass thing doesn't work either. The girl coming from that direction, if you go ahead and look in that direction, and she's just got to walk through your vision, she knows that trick.
But it was bad. And the weight, see, what we don't realize when someone's struggling with something, especially a married couple, when he's dealing with that sin, and he is trying, and I know he's trying, but he does not realize what it did to me, how it tears me apart. And no matter what the sin is, you don't think about what it's doing to your spouse, what it's doing to your kids, what it's doing to your coworkers. And when you're struggling with anxiety, and let me tell you, the wars that I had in my head, the anxiety, if he wore his sunglasses, oh, we're in a fight. Because he wore his I knew he put his sunglasses on so he could look at whatever he wanted to look at, and I couldn't see his eyes. So, I mean, it's a fight. So he knows that was a trigger. And then I realized it wasn't just sunglasses, it was the summer. I think it was last summer, I was like, why are we fighting about this again? I'm like, oh.
It was a trigger.
It's summer. Everybody's naked again. All these women with no clothes on. Everywhere you go, you walk in Walmart.
And I have a license to abuse where I wear sunglasses a lot. I do.
Okay. But anyway, well, my kids probably didn't know how much I struggled, but I mean, it was a constant battle. All the time. I would get in the Word, and the Word says, lest with your eyes you commit adultery with your heart. I didn't want a divorce. Divorce is a sin, unless you commit adultery. So I used that. I'm like, I kept telling myself, well, and I would tell him all the time, the Bible says, lust with your eyes, you commit adultery in your heart. You're already committed. You have not actually done it, but you are lusting after these women.
Samuel, David and Bathsheba, King David, if anybody knows, King David, the one that slew Goliath, was king. And he went out on his back balcony because he couldn't sleep and saw Bathsheba on her roof bathing. And it's okay. He walked out. He's like, oh, okay, that's a beautiful night. Oh, there's a woman. He turned around. If he would have turned around and walked back inside, that's okay. Now if he said, daggone, and kept on, what's wrong? It is. You don't have that right, even as a man. You don't. He lusted so hard for her. This King David, anointed one, found out who she was married, sent his husband to the front line of the army, and he was killed. He slept with her that night, and she got pregnant. So we're not nobody. This is King David, the anointed one, slayer of giants, who had a problem with gloves. And to get into where we were at this point in our lives, she put me on a point scale on how did you do today? Tina's and this is her scale, not mine. She still has, I might still have it in my wallet, I don't know. But how did you do today?
Hang on. The reason I did that was because I needed to know we were on the same page. I needed to know because now I think back, like, God, that was so stupid. But anyway, this is how crazy I was. I was literally crazy. I was. I'm not.
She's pretty close. She's pretty close. We talked about that.
I needed him to know. I needed us to be on the same page. If I said, "How'd you do today?" and he said, "I did really good today," I needed to know that his really good and my really good was the same. So I did a point scale, and I was like, "This is 10, 9, 8," and I think he was not allowed to be a 7 or below. You can look once, turn your head, don't look again. Look again. Did you look more than once? Did you look 3 times? Was you thinking bad things? Like I needed to understand how bad it was for him. I needed to know how bad it was for him. That same thing, I did that. I mean, I prayed and I was like, I'm so crazy. How do I, help me fix him. That's what I prayed. Lord, how do I fix him? What do I gotta do? What do I gotta do to fix him? How do I fix this? How do I fight lust? How do we as women fight lust? You can't. It's everywhere you look. How do I do this? And then after praying about it, God said, have him write down everything he thinks and feels when he sees these women. And I told him, I said, I don't ever want to see this, but I need you to write down everything you think, everything you feel, everything that you do, and write it down. Let me know when you're done. And I said, I don't want to see it. Just do it. So he told me when he was done. It was like a day later. And then the Lord said, and then I had him go look at 5 verses on lust, adultery, lying. What does the Bible say how you're supposed to be a husband? How am I supposed to be a wife?
There's lots.
I went on and on and on. What does the Bible say about this? What does the Bible say about this? Let me know when you're done. And he did. It was probably longer to do that. And I made him write every Bible verse down. And then he's like, okay, I'm done. And then I said, now compare the two. How is what you're doing and thinking? And I don't want to know. Let me tell you, women. If you ask, you better be ready for them to answer. If you tell them to be truthful to you and you ask them a question and they're honest with you, you can't get mad at them for being honest. And it does not always feel good when they tell you the truth. And there was times that I was like, I need to know what you're thinking when you're looking at these women. I want to know. And then he told me, and I'm like, I don't want to know. Why did you tell me that? I can't believe you're telling me that. And then you know what it did? It tore me up. Well, does he think of me? Does he think of every woman? I've talked to Tammy about this, about literal battles in my head, and I'm like, why are you doing that? That's stupid. Why are you doing that? You know, I felt like the devil in the dog. You know, this telling me this thing, and the devil's like, no, you need to go through his phone. You need to go do all that stuff. Thank God for friends, because I have a friend that I would go to this person and I would talk to her, and she would say,
I have friends too.
do you think maybe you're being a little crazy? Like maybe Justin's right in some of this, you know, you gotta help him, you know. You need a friend that can be honest with you, that doesn't agree with everything you say. A friend that's like, hold up, back up, stop and think about what you're saying. You know, how does what you're saying align with what the Word says? Are you doing what you're supposed to do? Because I don't think you are. And I'm telling you, like, he could tell me that, I'm not going to listen. But my friend can tell me that, and I'm going to listen. Because she can tell me anything. And even though, and we always do this, you may not like what I'm about to say, but I'm going to tell you.
And guys, also, I have several guy friends Pastor Mark, Jason's been one of them. Paul Grimes, he's not here. Guys I've reached out to that are, your wife, as awesome as this woman is, she can't be my accountability partner. She can hold me accountable, but as a man, I reach out to them and find out same thing. Like, dude, I feel this way, and she's being so stupid. You know, you'd be like, you sound like a little kid right now, why? Because you're not kidding your wedding. Your wife comes first. And they told me brutal, honest truth. And, you know, and the last, it's called me before, March called me, how are you doing? So they're, how are you doing? How are you accepting? And I mean, there's been times, well, I love this woman with all my heart, all my soul, and mind, you know, and then there's other weeks I'm looking for a place to bury the body, you know? Delete that from your
No, not a chance.
She said that's my mother.
Need proof.
But we'll get to the cruise here, but one of the things that she said to me, and I want y'all to hear this, that utterly turned us around, shattered my heart, was, do you want your daughters treated the way
I said, how would you feel if your daughter's future husbands did what you do, thought what you thought, acted the way you do? Because I know you're not being 100% honest with me. How would you feel if your daughter's future husband did that to your daughters? And he sat there a minute. I mean, I'm telling you, he sat there a long time and he just thought, and I just let him, and he goes, I wouldn't like it at all. And I said, then why is it okay for you to do that to their mother? And he just sat there and he said, you're right.
Then we go on this cruise. I'm telling her, leading up, you know, we're kind of struggling here and there, we're doing okay, we're doing not okay. I'm like, I was like, I don't want to, a cruise to Mexico, of all things. She's like, no, we'll be fine. Seriously, I've heard it. Pay for it, you're going. I'm like, okay, so I'm going. And at this point, on crazy scale, you pretty up there.
Out of a scale of 1 to 10, I was like a 30.
Yeah. And me, I walked around, like seriously, like with my head down the entire time. If we walked through a group of people, most of the time my head was completely down to the floor, hat on. I had to take my sunglasses off.
Hang on, let me just say this to interrupt. He didn't always realize he was under control so bad he didn't always know when he did stuff wrong. And I used to pray that, okay, Lord, I'm crazy. I have severe anxiety. I'm overthinking. I'm creating situations. I don't want to see it. Just if he's doing something wrong, let me see it. If I'm actually seeing something, let it be because he's doing something wrong.
And I didn't help with things. I came up with a story that she had that if you see if you see a flower, a pretty flower, you're gonna notice that flower. But the little dandelion down at the bottom, you can that's just dandelion. You never look at it again. But the next day you walk through, you see that flower, you can look at it. She got irate.
It was like, if I want to look at a pretty girl, I'm going to look at a pretty girl.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we are all going to notice there's gorgeous people out there. It's a natural thing to see those people. To say, she's pretty, he's cute. But it's going further than that. If you continuously look, or if you have negative thoughts, or you're doing, those are the things you're not supposed to do.
The second, the third look. The first look that it's not right. And I think we've had this conversation about going somewhere, and somebody says, well, I'd look. I lost that right. I lost that right. I really did. When I got married and I vowed myself to her, I lost that right. So, on this cruise, and I'm walking on glass, not even on eggshells at this point. But there are so many things there that my husband, this way, and she's kept every time I picked my head up and did something, I was wrong, and I did. And me being a mule, carrying things to the beach, I got a cooler and all this other stuff, and then there are two girls that walk from this direction to this direction, and I got my head down, and I'm in church. I'm carrying all this stuff, and my head's down, I'm going like this, and then everybody in front of me stops, so we're all looking for a spot to go to on the beach. And I stop, because everybody stopped in front of me. I look up, and I look this way, and there are two females in thongs walking that direction. And I'm like, and about the time I bring my head back, I lock laser beam eyes that burn holes in my head, and I'm like, backwards. No, I didn't, but I was like, and then she said something passionate about, we're going to get divorced.
Hart said something like, I don't even remember what he said. He said, why do people wear stuff like that, or something like, why would you even do that? And I said, somebody's about to get a divorce. Because I was looking at Justin, and he's looking this way, and I'm like, yeah, we're about to get a divorce. And I was livid.
And it brewed and brewed. We went to the beach, we tried to...
At the beach, he goes and sits over here all by himself, and he is sitting there, and he's like...
Pity party.
Sitting on me, he's mad. He's like... Looking straight at the ocean. There's nothing to see. I'm going to look right here. Are you kidding me? Like, you're the one that looked. Why am I in trouble? And I go over and I'm talking to him. I was like, come out here. Just come in the ocean. He's like, no. I can't do nothing right. I'm just going to sit right here and I'm going to look at the ocean.
And it came to, and the kids had an amazing time. They want to go on it. Like, they'll see a boat or a cruise thing on TV, and they're like, oh my gosh, Daddy, when are we going on another cruise? I'm like, I don't ever go on a cruise again. Ever. Except maybe an Alaskan cruise where they're all clothed and coats. Yeah. So, but me and her, we went down to the room, and we had it. She's like, when we get back, we're done. We're done.
He was like, what do you mean we're done? I said, I want a divorce. I can't do this anymore. I'm crazy. You don't care. But, okay, I get this saying, and I say this to people. People don't understand. You can only say I'm sorry so many times, and then I'm sorry doesn't work anymore. And to make him understand that, there's a saying that says you take a plate and you throw it on the floor. Like, let's just say you barely drop the plate, and it breaks in two pieces. Okay, it broke. You can glue it back together, but it's not going to be as strong as it was before. Now let's take that same plate and let's drop it a little higher, maybe 4 to 6 pieces, glue it back together. Eventually, you're going to drop that plate, and it's going to be so broken, you can't put it back together. And that's where I was. I can't do this anymore. It's not, now it's affecting my job, it's affecting my kids, I'm depressed, I don't want to go to work, I don't want to get out of bed, I'm having war in my head, even though I know all this is wrong, and the Bible says it's wrong, and I tried and I prayed.
But God.
Yes, and I told him, I said, he's like, honey, I cannot lose you, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, sorry doesn't work anymore. Now it's actions. I need to see actions. I need to see, why am I fighting? Why am I the one praying and doing all this? Why are you not? You know, but I was doing it wrong. I'm praying to change him. Well, we'll finish the cruise thing, and I'll get into that.
So we left Mexico.
No, on the cruise. I told him that. He said, and I said actions.
We're on the boat.
And he hit his knees.
Yeah. And people talk about the hills and valleys. Hills and valleys of marriage, hills and valleys of life. It took us running away from a hurricane in the deepest part of the Gulf of Mexico. And we're hauling it to get away from this hurricane. It took us being over the deepest part of the ocean, or the Gulf, for me to, during that fight, to hit my knees and give it up to God. I mean, I cried, she cried.
I've never seen this man cry the way he cried that day.
It was ugly cry. Why is everybody? I said ugly. Everybody knows the ugly cry looks like. That kind of face. But I mean, it felt like the weight was lifted off of both of us. And there's a song I wanted to play. I would say this again, but it's how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. And it's a great song. It's, you're going to fight these battles. You're going to fight them on your knees, fight them together, fight them with your family, fight them. Have God fight for you. Like Jehoshaphat and the kingdom of Judah. Let him fight your battles. If you're having a fight with your wife, have God fight for you. Pray to God, Lord, help me through this. Help her. And anybody who hasn't seen War Room, watch it. I'm not going to pay for that, but watch it anyway. But he is such an awesome God, and he will push for you and fight for you so much. I hit my knees. Now, do we still? Do I still struggle? Yes. Do I lean on him? Absolutely. Do I lean on her? Do I lean on my friends? Absolutely. And I have to. I mean, there's no other way. And if I don't tell her I'm struggling still, then I'm in the wrong. And I'm going to tell you, I have so much anxiety built up over this thing. Like, even if she was to take my phone down, I still have anxiety over her just touching my phone. And it's the brand new phone. There ain't nothing on that one. Ever. And she can go to it. Anybody that's a mindful hack, whatever, not going to find anything. Because I gave it up. And this woman has helped me through so much. She showed me grace, forgiveness, mercy. But it started with him showing me the same thing.
I stayed home to fast and pray over marriage one day. And I'm in the Word, Lord, changing how I fix them, all these Bible verses. And then I hit my knees and I'm praying, and the Lord said, the Lord led me to Galatians 6, 1 through 6. And it says, brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourselves, or you also may be tempted. Carry each other's burdens. And in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. If anyone thinks they are something when they are not, they deceive themselves. Each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else, for each one should carry their own load. Nevertheless, the one who receives instruction in the word should share all good things with their instructor. And I was like, I'm supposed to help him. I'm supposed to carry this burden with him. I'm sitting there praying, Lord, fix him, fix him, fix him. The Lord said, no, fix you. Because you're seeing this wrong. You're looking at this through the eyes of the world. You're looking at this all wrong. The Lord said, you are his wife. He is struggling, but you are there to help him through this, not criticize him and judge him and tear him apart. You were there to pick him up. You were there for when he is struggling. You were there to help him, to pray with him, to quit. I mean, I didn't want to tear him down, and a lot of it was because we were, hiding things or whatever, but if he told me stuff, we would pray when we get through it, but then he didn't tell me stuff. And that's when I struggled, so I'm like, be honest with me. I'm telling you, if you're struggling with something, the best thing you can do is be honest with each other. When he's honest with me, I will pray, I will fight, but don't lie to me. Because when you lose trust, it's so hard to get back. Now let me tell you, I don't worry about his phone. I don't worry about anything anymore. I can't say that I'm 100% don't have crazy times, because let me tell you, since we started doing this, I still have the enemy saying, have you asked him how he's doing? Have you asked him? And I'm like, no, I'm not asking him. If he's struggling, Lord, convict him, tell him to tell me, but I'm not asking him anymore. I think I've asked him maybe once, twice, but I pretty much don't. I don't think about it anymore. I don't really struggle with that anymore. I was talking to my boss at work about it, because I don't have a problem with time, but she was telling me, in this job, retirement and all this. Well, I told her, she's a Christian woman, so I was like, I've never told anybody my story, so I kind of told her about how bad I had depression and anxiety and how I struggled with it and how there were many days I couldn't get out of bed. And she was like, after I told her, and I'm crying, and she's like, Stephanie, I never would have known. She said, you are the happiest person. You smile, you're so happy. I would have never known. She said, these are things that people should tell people. Why haven't you told me? And she said, because a boss is going to look at someone who misses, like, oh, they're abusing it, but you're not. You're struggling with something. And she's like, I would like to pray with you. And there's things the state offers, but I kind of struggle with that because I don't really want to go to a non-Christian and get advice, because they're going to tell me things I don't really want to hear, and I want it to be what the Word says. But then I also know that I should do that because they're non-biased, and I know what's right and what's wrong, so if they gave me wrong advice, whatever. But I thought about it, and she was like, and it just hit me. I was like, and I told him the other day, I said, I don't even think he really knows how bad I was. Like, I didn't talk about it. I don't tell people. Nobody. Tammy posted something on Facebook one day, and they say people go through things to help someone else. And she shared something about anxiety, and she said, it said to do the opposite of what, if the enemy's saying, ask me about it, do the opposite of what you feel. So if the enemy said, look at him, he's checking that girl out, I would not look. Like, I started trying to be aware of it, and I started looking, and I told her, I was like, that meant a lot, because I was like, I never thought of it that way. Do the opposite. When I'm in this crazy thing in my head, do the opposite. And that helped. The other Bible verse that the Lord sent me to that day was 1 Peter 5:5-11. And this says, to the elders among you, I appeal as a fellow elder, 5-11. Humble yourselves. Therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. Cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you. Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Resist him. Stand firm in the faith, because you know that the family of believers throughout the world is undergoing the same kind of sufferings. And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. To him be the power forever and ever. Amen. So the Lord didn't just say, carry his burdens. The Lord told me I also have to be humble. And that truly changed, because then I quit praying, change him, and I started praying, change me. Change how I think. Change how I see him. Change how I feel about it. Change how I am as a person. Change me. Because I can only fix me. I can't fix him. But I can pray that the Lord works in him, that the Lord begins to move in him, and that the Lord overtakes him, and the Lord sets him on fire, and I cover him in my prayers. And the one thing I asked from him when I said I need to see actions was, I want you to pray with me every single night. Every night, no exceptions. Out loud, you pray with me, and he's done it every single night.
Every now and then I ask her to do it, and she says, "I'm tired."
Because he watches TV and I'm trying to go to sleep.
I give her a head start because I snore. But, and even when she falls asleep, I still pray. I still make sure I cover us in prayers every night. Before we get up.
I'm sorry.
I'm getting the signal from Pastor.
Are you telling us to rush?
It's only 8:24. We got a half. We'll wrap this up in 5 minutes.
It'll give me 5 more minutes.
And those that don't know, I'll give you 5 more minutes. 5, 10, 15, 20.
Sorry.
That's inside top joke. Right, you go. Galatians 5:4, Living Translation. Those who belong to Christ have nailed their natural evil desires to his cross and crucified. Take those burdens to the cross. That's what I hear. Take that lust, give it to him, give it up, and believe it. That's it. That's it. That's it. And that's how we fight these battles. And she kind of stole my thunder. I think she's reading my notes. That's true. She had me, and I was telling her a couple of minutes ago. I believe I went through this to help somebody else. As much as it hurt, I never cheated on this woman with a physical person. Lust in the mind's eye or whatever, cheating that way, yes, I did. But physically, I never did. But lust is prevalent in everybody's life at some point in their life. And we have to give it up to him to take care of this. And if anybody is struggling in any of these aspects that I have went through, I will help them to no ends. Reach me out on Facebook or in person. I'm here at the top every Sunday, Wednesday. Come find me at a ball field or court or track, whatever, wherever I'm at. And I will talk you through it, help you out, send you to some Bible verses that help me out. Or if there's a female that needs reassurance about their other partner, maybe they can reach out to Stephanie. How they deal with anxiety. So, yeah.
We're doing great. We have been doing great.
We are not perfect.
No.
Never will be. But we are saved by Jesus. And through him, we'll get there. And I want to take as many people with me as I can. If it's the youth, it's grown people, somebody on their deathbed. I have helped the car crash on 127. And if you're on your deathbed, I want to come pray, or man, I just want to lead as many people to Jesus as I can. So just I want this test, the test I went through to be a testimony for anybody. So if I need help, just reach out to us or church here.
And just know too, everybody goes through struggles, and it's God's timing when you're done with it. You know, I told Mara, I was like, I mean, really, Mara, and let me tell you, talk about one of Justin's biggest fans. I probably would have walked out on him a long time ago if that hadn't been for Mark rallying a lot for Justin, because I would go to Mark, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it, I can't deal with it. And he said something, he said, just think about, as long as that spirit in him took root, how many years that has, it could take that long to come out. And I said, I cannot deal with 20 more years of this, but it didn't take that long. It took me being loving, faithful. Because let me tell you, I love the Lord, and I will never, ever stop fighting for anybody. I will never stop fighting for him. And I always ask myself, would I really have a divorce? No, I don't think I would have. But I think he needed to understand that I couldn't do that anymore. And I really truthfully believe that that's what it took for him to hit his knees, for him to realize that he had to change. There was no, I can't do this anymore. I needed to know that he was now fighting for me and not fighting against me. And I don't think we would have gotten, now had he kept doing it, I don't know. But I'm a fighter. I'm going to pray and I'm going to fight. And let me tell you, there was many days that I didn't think I deserved to be up on the stage because I was struggling, I'm fighting, but I've said this before, I kind of feel like it helped because I was forced to worship. I was forced to worship through those battles. And let me tell you, if you're struggling with something, BJ talked about the well. My well is music. My well is worship. That's where I go. I hear those songs, and I go to I call it my happy place, but I take a bath, and I sit in there, and I play my worship music, and I sing, and that's where that's where I feel God. I'm praying, and music gets me through it. Some of the songs I listen to, This Is How I Fight My Battles. There's several songs that's mine. Hold up. This is how, what's it called? You thought I was worth saying. And then Mark changed the CD on me last Sunday. There are songs that speak to you, and good Christian songs, and it's funny because I always say I don't know scripture, but do you know much scriptures in music? Mara got to say scripture, and I'm like, but it was in a song. Sorry, I'm right.
No, it's okay, because we still got like 15 more minutes. No, but thank everybody for coming out. Anybody's watching on the Facebook or whatever, we're so thankful for each other.
I do want to put one more plug in, I'm sorry. One of the best things that helped us really get closure on it, and I would recommend this book to anybody, is Love and Respect. Because we were able to talk about things that we hadn't really talked about, like we were done with it, but we never really put closure on it, and never really discussed how hurt we were. And thank God for friends that were able to sit there and listen to it, because there were some nights that we would sit back there and cry, just cry. But that book, it really teaches you how to be a husband and a wife, and how to go through the crazy cycle and get out of the crazy cycle. And it's a great book. Love and Respect, you gotta watch it, but it really put closure on it. And I think we were able to deal with it, put it to bed, and let it go. And it's all about God.
Yeah, that book did help out a whole lot, and we did it in a couples thing here at church, but it really did help out. It tells you how to respect a man, the wife respects a man versus this. Yeah, you just have to read it. It's pretty good. I guess we're done, Pastor. In summary, all right, we're done.